Well, the weather outside is frightful, but the Bitcoin prices are so delightful. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, and Tezos and all. Intro roll, intro roll, intro roll. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I see AB Lopez already in the chat box there. Nice to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a wonderful Christmas time. Let's take a look at the prices together. Going to keep things nice and neat and simple today, and of course a little bit shorter as a result, hopefully, and we'll see how that rolls out for the show. Anyway, yeah, I tried to make up a song at the start of the show. Don't know how well that went. Before we really kick off, I want to give a shout out to Magic Internet Money. He's a chap on YouTube. Let's just take a second together to go look him up and show you his channel, because he was so nice as to give me a shout out on his one, so I'm going to give him a shout out right back again. Now, of course, I kind of started this process by shouting out him first or whatever, but it's all good, and it's that. Well, there you go, that's how you find it. Type in Magic Internet Money and you'll see this face here, and he's a lovely chap, lovely chap, lovely chap, lovely chap. Right, cool, decent TA as well, I think, as well. I watched his episode today and I thought it was pretty good. Of course, it's 13 hours old now, so let's try and refresh our senses with some Bitcoin technical analysis. Right, okay, and as well, after we do Bitcoin, we'll do Ethereum, we'll do Chainlink, and we'll do Tezos. Hopefully get everything done fairly snappy-like as well today. So all the pertinent info coming right at you. As you can see in the background there, that is the 1 hour chart. As I just kind of go through here and delete some of the brush marks off there to make it neater. That's the 1 hour chart, and what we had was a diamond pattern drawn in yesterday's episode. And as you can see, we have so far kind of broken out of it, so to speak, towards the top side, and we've gone past this key area where we had our blue serrated line, and that means that we can kind of look towards the potential next target of 27,300 or so. Now that's a little bit away from where we are right now. There's plenty of trading to be done in the meantime, bearing in mind that that's another 10% rise towards the top side, or more, I suppose, if you want to do the maths correctly. So maybe it's worth doing a bit more TA. So what did we see? What did we see on this chart here when we broke out of this formation? I'll just make it full screen, I suppose, and we can see that we came out the way, then came back down, retested it, and in fact we actually did the same thing on the sort of intermediate wedge that we had. And while we came down below, we never really went past any sorts of fake out zones, put in a higher low, broke back outside of this green line again, retesting it along the way, moved towards the top side, went past our blue serrated profit taken line, you could call it. Of course, it's a, you could also call it a supply line. And we went towards the top side, came back down again, retested it. Where did we find our bodies close? Well, so obligingly, they just sat there right on the line, squat on there. Then, of course, it then realized that it wanted to continue to go towards the top side. Whoa! Put in a few more green candles here in the early time frame, and so far we're seeing a little bit of hesitation here as we're coming up towards our previous high. Bringing up the oscillators down below, we can see that we've come up so far out in this section just here. Suppose I can hide the drawings for this part. We've come up so far in this section here during this upward rise since testing the 200 simple moving average on this 1 hour time frame. I managed to do this move up the way without any divergence, so that's good to see. We have a low coming in here. Potentially you could make the debate about this being our local low, and it does seem to be the case. And if we make a little comparison down below, does this come any lower? It doesn't, so we don't have any hidden bullish divergence jumping out at us real there for us to be aware of. But we have got the movement towards the top side without any bullish divergence. So what are things that we look out for? Warning signs? Well, we did get rejected out of the bullish control zone, back down again, and here we are just kind of trying to come into it again at the minute. I'd like to see this, of course, actually successfully do that. That would go hand in hand as a siren goes by outside. That would go hand in hand, of course, with taking out that structure here of our previous high. So if that happens, then of course things look good again. We can keep our eyes out for any potential divergences. Now bearing in mind how high up this came, we could possibly see that, but we're going to just keep our eye on the prize in terms of the overall upward trend that we're experiencing right now. In terms of this overall time frame, this being the 1 hour. Now if I jump up again towards the 4 hour, you can see just how far away the 200 simple moving average is, all the way down here. So if we did break down the way, we're still looking towards that 20k area really for support, and we can bring our drawings back onto the screen here to give us a bit of context with regards to the current price targets. Essentially, maintaining the bullishness involves staying above 24,000. Going back down below that level, then we can easily look again straight towards the 23,333 area or so, where the apex or the joining point of this diamond would be, I suppose, and where of course we would see a good volatility candle if we had the VPVR right up right now. Then of course down below that you're looking towards 22,400 or so, and then down below that you're looking down towards that 20,000, where we find more or less the 200 simple at on this 4 hour time frame. Have we got a nice upward strength move so far in the broader sense currently? Well, this high that we've just put in here compared to our previous highs in amongst the diamond here, you can see has come up, and it's just shy of being higher than the than this one on than this peak just here, which is our previous high. So we've actually done this with just a wee touch, just a smidgen, if you like, of bearish divergence up here on this time frame, looking between the last significant highs overall. If you want to consider this to be more of an upward trend, which is totally possible to do overall, given that this low was in fact lower than the subsequent low. So we have a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low. This here didn't work out as being a higher high, this here didn't work out as being a lower low, so this was just a little bit of flux along the way before we put in this ultimate high, and it has of course come in slightly bearishly divergent. We can see that here as well on the MACD. Now the MACD as well, with this little bit of a formation so far kind of eking towards the top side, does give you that impression that we could of course see a good deal more movement towards the top side before it to come back down. It's not like it's gone and peaked and then started becoming that lighter shade as we contract again in prices, but I would look out for that at that point. And of course I'm looking out for movements back down the way below, halfway down the point between between our previous low and our high. So if I just draw in a quick Fibonacci for between these 2 points here to give you an idea about where would be a sort of pretty solid confirmation point about that being a local high, and then to worry about that divergence if you were so inclined, then 23,730 stands as that point. So coming back down below this line and closing below them would probably coincide with that, and that's what to look out for. In terms of the DMI, then what we're seeing here is a positive cross, but we're still in this period of chop in terms of the ADX, which is red currently. So that is the case. If we see this coming back down the way, this being the prices, resulting in, of course, then this movement with a contraction between the positive D and negative here, the directional movement parts of this indicator, then of course we could be seeing some more chop happening, and that might not be so great for the prices, but we have a good deal of volatility in around this area to make trading easy enough. And with those levels, I think it's probably fairly straightforward to manage your risk. Okay, cool. Let me know in the chat if you want to have any more technical analysis than just that for what we're looking at right now. I could, of course, do some other ones, like for instance here over on the 15-minute time frame, where you see that we've come up in this section. Just hide the drawings again. We've come up in this section, rising towards topside, golden cross here between the two moving averages, happening around about the time where we've had enough room to test them again and confirm, and then move towards the top side, finding support here on the 50 simple. If we see the 50 simple breaking, that's down there at 22. Ooh. Finding it struggling with words right now. $24,200, then of course that would start to look fairly negative, but so long as you stay above that 23,500 area, then you're doing okay. Now what does that mean? Well, it means we're talking about $1,000 moves here and there and everywhere. That, of course, 6 months ago would have seemed a lot scarier than it does now. Back 6 months ago, you'd be looking at 10% moves and going, whoa, big moves. Any given time, really, in terms of any market, so long as you're operating within 3%, then you're not really necessarily changing the world. And we can see here that if we did come down from those highs, touch the 50, go back up again, it's all kind of within that sort of 3% range. So nothing really major is happening until you've gone beyond those sorts of limits. We're not getting a good strength of trend really showing up on the, as I say, on the DMI on the 4 hours, but we do have it on these higher time frames where, of course, the positivity still remains in place until such times, kind of technically that it doesn't. So if we see the ADX line on this one start to slope towards the downside, then of course we should look out for sort of negativity at any given time. This is just the ADX showing on its own here. This is daily time frame, 2-day time frame, 3-day time frame, weekly time frame. You see the strength of trend still showing us that it's very much in place. Monthly time frame, not got actually enough data on it on this particular chart to form any actual information for us to look at. But it's when you go down the time frames, you see that on the 12-hour time frame we did start to slope down, recovered so far, so of course we have that in place to go towards the top side. 4-hour time frame, you know, going down the way, so that was obviously the strength of trend burning off. Now we're just in chop territory, and the fact that it's pointing towards the top side, of course, does give you that impression that, you know, that once you've got a proper, you know, angle here, nice V looking shape at the bottom, that it tends not to kind of undo itself too much, but there is the chance, as you can see, various times in the past where that has happened. So obviously we want to see this go up the way, and when it gets towards the orange phase, then generally speaking it looks like you're kind of okay. Once it gets to the blue phase, then the question becomes, how long will the strength of trend on this particular time frame last? You know, down here in the 1-hour time frame as well, you can see in terms of the ADX that we're not getting a great deal of loving towards the top or the bottom side necessarily in terms of, not going to do a great deal of love in terms of the strength of things, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that maybe gives you a little bit extra context. So again, let me know if those two things kind of cover it out for us for the Christmas Day period. I think that's probably fairly good TA at the minute. Let's move on and take a look at Ethereum. Now, what I'm going to do in this episode, by the way, is fly on through things. That's 11 minutes in, and we're moving on to Ethereum for myself, for my own sort of knowledge, I suppose. That'll help me when I come back to looking at this, putting notes in later if I do choose to put chapter titles in. I think I will today. So let's take a look at Ethereum then as well. After I've done the 4 coins we normally do, I'll jump in with the chat, see how we're getting on and how much time we have available for looking at any additional coins or whatever. But of course, I do see you popping in here, by the way, into the chat. So keep your chat flying. It's nice to see it in my peripheral vision. I see we have the likes of Matthew Rodriguez, Tradespawn, AB Lopez, Navanethan, Artie Pyle, all joining us. And then XRP, WTF, Stev. I'm going to guess that's you, Steve. XRP is gold. Steve has now turned into XRP WTF, Steve. That's funny to see. 12 minutes in, let's take a look at the Ethereum USD technical analysis. Starting off here on the 1-hour time frame, we know that we had this death cross recently on here between the 50 simple and 200 period moving averages, the simple ones on this 1-hour time frame back here on the 22nd of December. Well, here we are on Christmas Day, and we see the 50 simple starting to slope towards the top side, taking the same sort of approach to things. We can see that we have this upward slope on the 200, while the 50 simple starting to slope towards the downside. So it's not necessarily a sort of starkly raving mad positive story over here in Ethereum, which is quite clearly the case. Whilst we've had XBT, a merry XBT miss, if you like, with all-time highs coming in here on Christmas Day for us, we haven't had that with Ethereum yet, languishing down here at the sort of sub 620k area. Now what we do have, as we can see on the charts here, is of course this sort of V-shape looking effort here, and that's good. But of course then we've got these two peaks at the minute which haven't been beaten, and overall this has been operating towards the downward side. So what we can look to is this high, this low, if you like. That's a little bit rich for my liking, but whatever. Then this lower high, this lower low, lower high, lower low, and actually as well so far a lower high over here. So things haven't been so great. Whilst we have this lower high on the go, what are the implications of this being higher? If you remember from the last few episodes, you'll know then of course that this is showing us a bit of hidden bearish divergence on the Ethereum pricing. This sloping towards the downside as well, not giving us that indication of bullishness here on these lower term timeframes. Well, of course over there on the larger term timeframes we're still very much in a bullish stance, and that's very, very good to see. But this is of course as well bearishly divergent between the highs up here across the board on those oscillators, and we have come down, tested the 50 and found support at that point. We've not structure wise, price action wise, we've not broken the trend of higher highs, higher lows, so that's good to see. But there are warning signs coming at us as we get a little bit bogged down with regards to these prices compared to the Bitcoin ones. Slapping the drawings back on the charts, I know that that's obviously quite hectic looking for everybody. If I just zoom on in a wee bit though, things will become a little bit clearer, as we can see that so far we've only managed to come up as high as this wrongly positioned Fibonacci here. It'll just give me a second and I'll sort that out just now. We've only come up as we've come. Bleh. Okay, take a second, Rocky. Get your words right. We've come down and broken down past the 236 on it. I'll just hide the other one because I can tell it's confusing people. We've come up to here. We've come down past the 236 here, and that price point is at that $600 level. We actually went down as far as the 382, and we've recovered so far, and we find ourselves above the 236, invalidating this Fibonacci. But we can leave it on here for the benefit of knowing that 600, of course, is a crucial area. The same sort of then idea can be put in place here as we look towards inverse of that Fibonacci there. I was doing so well there. That was going to be over in 2 minutes, but then I kind of started falling over my words. That's all good though. It's all good. Christmas Day, tiring stuff out there. Yeah, so dragging this up, you can see that we're above the 236 in here, which comes in at 615. So if you want to have two really tight levels around to operate on, then of course staying above $600 gives you the invalid Fibonacci. Staying below or moving below $615, call it, gives you reawakens the potential for this to happen towards the downside, where your next lower low could come in at any of these typical levels for it would be in around 578, of course, 566 and 557 if we were to see that happening at all there. But what we can look to really just structurally wise, and what we've had on the charts for the last wee while, is can we move past the quagmire that we've got here with these two red serrated lines down the way. If we were to break down past 592, we're going to look towards those targets that I just mentioned ones there, 570 and so forth. If we can sustain prices above that 616 level, then of course that remains as an invalid Fibonacci. You could look towards top side, and that would be decent to see. In terms of the moving average or the oscillators down below here, we've kind of covered that already, as we know, with the bearish divergence. So there we go. We did break out of this channel towards the top side, and that's nice to see. At this point here, then we do have that analysis to look to as well, like I already kind of mentioned with regards to the downward trend on the lower time frames. But here on the 1 hour time frame, we can see that we've got this upward movement so far. And within it, overall, we're doing okay structurally wise, or sort of divergence wise, and whatever else coming up towards the top side without divergence. Just double checking on that one. So yeah, we're doing okay. There could be the potential for a small term, head and shoulders here, and that lines up nicely in terms of the neckline with that 50 period moving average. So if you're looking at this in the small term time frames for two different levels, distinct to the ones I've already given you, which are also quite handy for managing your risk at, well, actually, I mean, there you go. 50 is actually on 600, so that lines up nicely as well with confluence. But 628 towards the top side, 630, taking that area out, of course, leads towards us going up the wave with any degree of momentum. Taking out 640 then thereafter would be, of course, the roadmap towards the high 600s again, the 660s and above. That's where we need to go if we want to see things continue positively throughout. Now, just bringing up the DMI to kind of continue with that analysis we've had before. Downward slope on the ADX, not giving us much in terms of the strength of trend here with this latest section where we have that little bit of a rise up the way I was talking about on the 1 hour. In terms of the 4 hour, then the equally, the strength of trend is diminishing on the way down. We have these negative crosses and positive crosses, and whatever else happening just now, but that's not led to anything quite yet. So we'll see the resolution of this as we go forward. I can just hide the positive DM and negative DM just so you can see. Of course, some people choose to use just the ADX indicator on its own. I think that's fairly bad idea when you could use the proper full one with all of the full features. But of course, if you're relatively new to trading, then that's probably something that you might find interesting for yourself, just without the overall confusion of what the indicator itself was actually designed for in the first place, by the guy back in 1977. Anyway, we can see that we had various highs in the recent past and around about our blue serrated line here, resistance and support and whatever coming in at these areas, and then we sloped off towards the downside. Equally, we know that we've got this in around about the 20 point here, or the 30 point, sorry, should I say? No, it's the 20 point, where we've had these, where we found support. So can we see this happen? If this does, of course, turn around at this point here on this 4 hour time frame, then you would and continue to develop the strength of trend going towards top side, that would indicate, of course, more potential downside, taking out those targets like we already mentioned with our eyes on 614 to begin with. If not, and we see this turn around like over here on the 1 hour time frame, as I was kind of drawing at there a second ago, then of course the opposite story is true, and we're looking towards sort of 640 to take out that target, then get another chunk of a move up the way, of course, thereafter. In terms of the ranges and whatnot, similar to the Bitcoin stuff, you know, big enough numbers when we were down there a couple $100 below where in terms of percentages, but now that we're at the $600 area, of course, individual actual absolute dollar amounts represent a lower percentage change value for us overall. Okay, moving on then, what's the thing that's missing off of this? Well, there is MACD bearish divergence here between the two peaks at this point on the way up. Could this be argued as being flux? Well, yes, it could, but then if you're going to make the argument, it kind of undermines the point in looking at this on the 1 hour time frame in the first place. So we're waiting to see if we can break past either of those two levels. If we do, of course, there's movements to look out for beyond either of these, but instead of kind of going crazy on anything and drawing out anything ridiculous, instead I'm just going to draw on the fact that this downward sloping trend that we have on the 4 hour has a broadening nature to it, in which case you could probably just be looking in terms of a target back towards your starting point over here, because that's how the textbooks have you doing that, and that's coming in at those high 60s areas, perhaps up as high as 675 as a breakout target if we do push on up the way. But you'd be looking for an increase in volume at the time. Seemingly I don't have my volume on here. And of course, throughout this period, you know, you'll be looking for volumes that are bigger than the ones that we've seen as we've been in the past. You know, these are good examples for you. So far, obviously, we're not getting that, but keep your eye out for it if we do see it happening. Nice one. 20 minutes in, and we're going to take a look at the link USD pricing here as well. So thank you so much again for everybody joining us. If you are joining me just now, I've already done Bitcoin. It was the first 10 minutes of the show, nice and snappy, everything that you need. If you're joining me and you're wondering where's Ethereum, we just finished that a second ago. That's the second 10 minutes of the show, between sort of 12 minutes and 20 minutes. It's all good, nice and snappy, everything that you need more or less as well. We're going to do the same sort of thing over here with regards to Chainlink, and actually it gets even easier because the story here is of course not massively different to the Ethereum one, as I draw on this same idea. Conceptually, we're looking up the way in terms of this being a descending broadening wedge, for instance, back towards our starting point. That takes us up towards those $14 targets. Looking for volume coming in here if we do break outside of that zone. In terms of the upside movement on the 1 hour time frame, these two highs on the RSI coming in without that divergence. On the MACD, it is divergent between these 2 points, and the ADX down here in chop territory, moving up towards the 4 hour time frame. You can see with this the ADX moving back down below this key Fibonacci area pivot, which I'm set to Fibonacci at the minute. I'll just change it back to the standard levels where you can see that's, you know, same deal for people who are curious, below the 40 number. Of course, sloping down the way, so hopefully we do see a diminishing of the strength of trend. However, if we do go down towards the downside, a couple of targets to look out for. Hopefully at this stage we come in with a higher low. If it's not going to have a big dose of bullish divergence on it, that would be taking you back down to that 1030 target that we've had in the recent price in the past. I haven't seen that this operated in terms of support very much recently as well. We're up there in the 11s at 1150 at the minute. Obviously, ideally we don't see anything like that happening. Instead, we managed to stay more or less above the $10.80 level, not taking out the 50% movement towards the downside, and hopefully remaining this in place as the potential just for flux for us. We see that we've got this negatively stanced the positioned moving averages with the 200 simple and the 50 simple here in terms of the 4 hour time frame. So that's the case, but of course on the daily time frame we remain in the bullish scenario where we've got this golden cross on the go, and of course we've come down and tested the 200 simple. Looking our eyes back the way, it's the first time we've tested 200 simple. Didn't even actually do it at this bottom here, so it's the first time we've tested the 200 simple really since all the way back over here at the $3 area as well. So, you know, in a lot of senses this is very healthy, and in the future people might look back and say, well, you know, we do occasionally on the 200 on the daily time frame test the 200 simple. You know, it happens from time to time, and when it happens and we find ourselves getting support and follow through and continuation towards the top side, that retrospectively looks like a very good buy position. Look at that previous trade idea that we had on the go. Obviously that fully satisfied its targets and made some money. From this point here, easy risk management points of view coming in again. If we look down towards the 15-minute time frame in the same scenario that we talked about with regards to Ethereum, looking here and saying taking out the 200 simple at that $11.08 is what's going to lead towards potential downside targets. You know, that 1060 and 1030 thereafter with 30-cent chunks towards the downside. If we can move up towards the top side, then very, very good. We had some bearish divergence here on this tiny time frame. No surprise to see it pulling back down the way. This area in at around about 1170s where you're finding your current sort of supply line, if you like, or profit taking line on the top side. Okay, so that technical analysis only lasted 5 minutes. Again, If you want me to revisit any of these coins, stick it in the chat, and when I get round to the end of it, I will take a look. Moving now on towards taking a look at Tezos for this next 5 minutes or so. Thank you so much for joining me. Like I say, if you do hit that like button, I really do appreciate it. I'm doing technical analysis, by the way. You might be wondering from time to time, and it's totally understandable if you do, why are you doing this technical analysis in this way live, Rocky? Now, I'm sure all the subscribers and the regulars here already know this answer before I start saying it, but it really does massively help people who are getting into trading, or indeed intermediate or perhaps even experienced traders who from time to time suffer with being able to see how you would go about constructing a chart and what to look for and stuff like that in a live way. And there's something special at seeing somebody do things live rather than a pre-recorded, edited fashion, of course, as well. This is the first time that I've looked at the charts today in this detail, having been kind of trading it in my pocket on my mobile phone from time to time throughout the day, but mainly focusing on the festivities, of course. So this is kind of an example as well for how you would do that, and hopefully gives you that confidence to carry that forward into your own trading then. So now that we've made it into 25 minutes and 30 seconds into this video, we're jumping on over to take a look at Tezos versus the US dollar on this 15-minute time frame. We are above the 200 simple. That's good to see. Of course, some previous our trading, our measured, our what do you call it here, example trade here worked out perfectly for us, and of course that can be removed from the charts. That was a very, very good one to anybody who was watching the stream the other day and was able to sort of trade off the back of that. And now of course we come back down to this point, back into around about where we had our profit taking lines coming in at in terms of that 5-to-1 risk reward in here at $2. The low today at 197, you know, that 196 is what I was calling it, so 197 is close enough in terms of finding our support here at these crucial areas. What we can see as well, if we stretch this right out, is that we didn't actually break the structure here. We came in with a sort of double bottom, if you like, here at this area, then of course move towards the top side. We did get this wick down the way, and that just tested that 200 simple period moving average, and this gives us a couple of those easier targets in terms of what to look for. 196 is a downside target. Breaking past 196 does lead to the potential of us going down the way. Of course, you know, this 190, this area of inflection here that you can see in the charts where I'm just kind of hovering over at the minute, was in it around about that 196 area. So this general area here, of course, is where you're finding your next support if you need to have it, and that afterwards then you're looking down to 180 and such like. Now in terms of this price, these prices, we are seeing sort of greater movements in terms of percentages perhaps than what you're getting on the Ethereum and Bitcoin ones, but it's overall the same sort of ideas that we're looking to with regards to these movements. If we want to just draw in a sort of smaller term time frame thing, how Fibonacci, just to put this into context, let me bring up full screen. How have we done since this crazy wick down the way there up towards our recent highs, and how have we dropped back down the way now? It wouldn't be too much of a surprise looking at the stretch that we've got on here to be challenging that 236 right now, or sorry, recently with our price action. And you can see that we've come in here and been supported, if you like, if you want to call it that, by this a couple of times. Of course, this was, you know, very much a theoretical proposition at this point here, and this is when we drew into this high, so of course that's just theoretical. Drawing this back down the way though, you can see that at this point we never really tested properly 236. Over here we've actually tested it now and found support, which would offer up a nice confirmation in terms of this being a double bottom for us, if that's how we want to look at things. And then the next targets towards the top side after that come in terms of these smaller term time frames up towards these highs, for starting off by taking out the $2.05. I think we probably already know about that fairly well ourselves, with the high today being at $2.11, where we have that high that just drew the Fibonacci into, and that's the next target in order to break it towards the top side. Coming in a sort of unsatisfactory level in here at 208 would start to make me think that it's worth looking out for the potential of a head and shoulders in here. So if you see this happen over the next couple of days, or sorry, the next few hours, then that's what to look out for. But the few hours technical analysis isn't necessarily going to help anybody who's watching this video slightly later on, although that could give you a degree of understanding the context moving forwards in terms of where your next inflection points would be if we move up or down past those areas, in terms of where you're going to find your liquidity zones with regards to this shape here. So let's just jump on up the way and put on a higher time frame. And now of course this is still not exactly, you know, outlandishly high with the 1 hour, and we have this Adam and Eve type structure here, not managing to break down past the neckline. That's good to see. And of course the same concepts with regards to what I was talking about there now, with regards to taking out our left shoulder and our head in terms of that structure. Moving on up the way towards the 4 hour time frame. Oh, incidentally, of course, as well, on the 1 hour testing this 50 simple, that would make sense, you know, categorically obviously makes sense, because this is the 200 simple period moving average here on the 15-minute time frame. So that obviously translates to the 1 hour 50 period moving average, because there's 4 sets of 15 inside 1 hour, just as there's 4 sets of 50 inside 200. So obviously that's how your maths on that one works. Just kind of worth revisiting that concept so that people understand again that of course these things, that when you talk about them as being a 50 period moving average, obviously changes every time you change the time frame. Just a little lesson for people who are newer to trading. On the 4 hour time frame, we've still got this target up above us at $2.16, and that's kind of, you know, in the starting point of that zone that takes us between $2.16 up towards $2.22. Now $2.22 at this stage in life now becomes the area in the midst of this pitchfork, which is where we want to see the prices move into, of course, because whoopsie doopsie, because once we get past the median, once we get past the lower warning line of the pitchfork, which is where we have this area changing from green to blue, then we're above 222 and we have targets towards the top side, and they start at then the next one up is 242. The next one after that is 270, and as we can see, taking this from where we just kind of are in around about exactly right now up towards that target at 222, you're looking at the guts of 10%. Sort of 10% going up to 222. Continuing up to the next target where we have at 242, that's 20% movement up the way. Continuing on up to the next target, then you're looking at sort of near enough 40% move, and all of them offering up decent enough profit taking targets and the opportunity to manage your trading in a risk-free way almost, if you're able to get in there and position your profit taking your orders in advance, and of course any stop losses that you may require. If you use reduce only, for instance, on leverage trading platforms, then you're able to put that in terms of taking profit without the fear of opening up an unwanted short, by the way, if you were then to get stopped out, making it slightly easier to manage your trading and your risking so far during this Xmas period. Okay dokie. Let's just do a couple other things on this chart since we have it up at the minute. We have gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to. I wanted to do it in 5 minutes, but the link technical analysis was benefited from the fact that the charts has that similar sort of structure to Ethereum. We don't have that quite so much here on Tezos. On the broader perspective though, between this low here on the 24th of December and this low over here on the 3rd of November, we put in this kind of double bottom, checking in with our oscillators down below to see how that shapes up. We can see that there's this, we can see that we have come ever so slightly lower without actually managing to go lower. In fact, it's not actually a double bottom because this closed off slightly higher than this did over here, giving you a taste of sort of hidden bullish divergence, if you like, here on the MACD. Over here on the RSI, how are we doing? Well, we don't have the hidden bullish divergence, as you can see, but it came close enough. We have that concept in terms of this being a solid support zone for us. Of course, I wouldn't be wanting to hang on to any positions that had lost 10% at this point towards the downside. If you're looking to short this coin, then of course 10% down the way is your target for us. Here's the ADX showing us that we're in chop on the 24-hour time frame, 12-hour time frame. We've just moved into an area where we have the potential for strength of trend, bringing back on the other aspects of this, so you can see, of course, this is going to be lining up negatively, showing us that we have a negative strength, but we do have this dramatic turnaround at the blue line area at 40, where we so often see this happening. And that's what's nice to see as we see the ADX itself kind of lose some of its luster towards the top side, continuing that trend, that theme on down the way. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, you can see that of course we've got the ADX then sloping dramatically down the way as we have these two converging, with enough scope within this to get us to have a nice positive cross, whilst we still have a degree of strength of trend kind of ready to be flipped in the positive direction for us. And we have chop here on the lower time frames, giving us that indication that of course right now we're experiencing a degree of unnecessary volatility in around about these zones, and of course that double A bottom type idea on the 15 minutes and the potential head and shoulders and Adam and Eve and everything else in around these zones, with the targets above our heads of 211, maybe making it easier for you if we take out 211 or 212 to ride up the next way up towards the 222 with a solid 5% move that offers you very, very minimal risk in terms of trading, or at least managing your risk in around those zones wherever you happen to choose to look at for them. Cool. There's a few things I could have talked about which I didn't in today's episodes. Those are, for example, Bollinger Bands. I've talked about them an awful lot recently. hopefully giving you enough skills and all that to be able to run with it yourself in your own analysis. Other things, of course, the exponential moving averages. Haven't had an exponential moving average here on the chart today. Now I'd like to suggest that you should probably go ahead and look at those too. Quick example of what that sort of analysis would look like if you were to do it would come in here. If I just pop these numbers back on the way here, for instance, on this 1 hour time frame, you can see that there's a good degree of chop or a good degree of overlap with them all on the 1 hour here at that area. Maybe that's the initiation of things turning around. What we want to see, of course, being a change in position here on the 4 hour time frame. And if we're able to maintain ourselves above, or if we're able to maintain the prices above the 8 period exponential, and then we're right at the 18, giving you the first potentially positive cross in this negative movement that we've had since we were looking at this and saying, well, hey, are we going to go up and challenge 250, 260, 270, 280? And that sort of thing gives us a nice indication of perhaps the trend turning around from this being a negative one, which of course it is with this negative downward price action that's been overall the case here along the way. Looking at the lows overall, we can see that there wasn't any bullish divergence, unfortunately. Looking at the highs and this recent high that we've had, we can see that unfortunately, of course, there is a degree of hidden bearish divergence. Although taking it from here, I'm kind of wondering, is this the last high just in here? Yeah, so there is a bit of hidden bearish divergence, you could say, if you're going to look at it that way. But these things would become confirmed with moving past the key areas that we've already spoken about with regards to the pricing. Awesome. So that's it. I'm going to jump in with the chat and see how everybody's getting along. I've not really read any of it so far, but it's okay because it's all still there on the screen and I can go through it all together. The episode so far, 35 minutes long. Nice, snappy, technical analysis for all the coins that we need to look at. No bloat, no waffle, none of that. All the good stuff. So there you go. And there's a few educational lessons chucked in here or there as well as we did it. I hope everybody's had a really fantastic XBT mess, by the way, out there. Let me know how you're getting on with how you've been getting on this Christmas with your trading and everything else, and of course with all your loved ones in your family. I hope everyone's having a fantastically merry crypto right now. Cool. Okay, nice one. Have you seen other people using those puns? Because of course I'm giving myself full credit for them at the minute. I think, yes, I made up the merry crypto, I made up merry XBTmas. Now of course that's highly unlikely, and people have probably made them up independently. But yeah, you know, I'll be the guy. I'll be the John Logie Bird to your particular television inventor. Okay, cool. So nice one, AB Lopez, getting the show on the road. Let's hit it. I hit it hard. I hit it fast. I hope you appreciated, or you know, the snappiness of it. If you've already disappeared to go off and enjoy the rest of your Christmas with your family, I completely understand, and I wish you all the best and good tidings to you and your kin. Of course, still no Rocky shout out from the moon. Why not? Jeez. What am I going to have to do to get a shout out from that guy? Nice one. I got me the first like, says TradeSpotting. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. Really do appreciate it. If everybody else wants to hit like, then of course I'm not going to stop you from doing so. Merry Christmas, everybody, says Navanethan. Oh, aren't you sweet? Aren't you sweet? Merry Christmas, my friend. You'd think people would take the day off from getting arrested in Xmas. Says that's just top chat. I guess I've got the wrong chat on here. Live chat, that's better now. I'm not going to miss anybody's messages. So yeah, RT Pile in there with a Merry Christmas, everybody. Was great that you like the DMI breakdown. That's quality. Thanks very much for giving me a vote of confidence there, Tracepawn. Merry Christmas from Steve. Thank you so much, Steve. I hope that you get some nice positivity on your XRP. I'm sure you've appreciated the improvement in terms of its form of the last wee while, but we're still, you know, we've come back down the way. Lows today down there at 28 cents, highs of 38 cents. I tell you what, if people are paying attention and they want to trade this thing, the movements between these two zones right now have been very, very profitable. We already know that 33 cents was like the big level, if you know, up until the 25-24 area where we're at before. So seeing it operating between these two zones is of no surprise to me. In fact, we have this liquidity area coming in here and showing us where we've got our support in today as well. It was already drawn in there, so that's nice. And now of course if we break down past this, I would expect wrong word, I would say that the risk of us going down towards at least where our previous wick was and whatever else, chopping another 10% off the prices from where they are right now, easily could happen. Of course, this has obviously been a strong sort of downward trend with that potential for more of that continuation. So we need to see that, you know, stopping, and we've got the degree of hidden bearish divergence on the go here very distinctly, for instance, as well, without the divergence on the way down the way. But then again, of course, I think it's without a shadow of a doubt now, although far be it from me to prejudge anyone, I don't want to have any prejudice in there. It's the SEC's job, and I suppose it's kind of mostly just allegations at this point, although we're just, you know, sniffing distance away from proving that, of course, the price of this coin is highly manipulated factually at this point. So anyway, as I was talking about yesterday, that still seems to be the case. I'm going to just jump on over again towards our friend the Bitcoin chart and bring up the 15-minute time frame so that people have got nice visual stimulation as I go through the chitter chatter here. Going to wrap up the stream before it gets to an hour long, by the way. So we're sat here at 39 minutes, only 20 minutes left maximum. I reckon that'll probably I'll probably pack it up in the next 5 to 10 minutes if I can. So, you know, if you're looking to get a coin done or whatever, then you're going to have to suggest it fairly quickly. That was a little bit of a bonus, I guess, for XRP. XRP is Gold Steve, because I didn't want him to miss out. That's what I said in yesterday's video at the end. Other interesting things that you might be interested in, since they're interesting, is how we performed in and around about that parallel channel that I had drawn on. Obviously we broke outside of it, came back down right onto the median line of it. Nice expected area for perhaps a higher low, which is in that 24k area. Come outside of it just now, and that's a nice, of course, retest area for us in the face of, you know, coming up here and potentially going in for another higher high. But we've not managed to achieve that just yet. Failure to do so doesn't go hand in hand with, you know, distinct bearish divergence or hidden bearish divergence or anything like that in this point here. So we're doing okay overall, but, you know, there we go. That's it. You know, things have been fairly good today. A distinct lack of liquidity. None of these moves here necessarily going to have been huge. Big candle over here. I wonder how much that really makes sense from a broader perspective. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that today's price action has been rather lackluster in terms of not price action has been great, but the volume has been lackluster. And what would you expect on Christmas Day? I mean, it's so, of course, and All Hallows Eve, of course, as well. So that's good. Right. Anyway, catching up with the chat as I wanted to do. We're 40 minutes into the episode. Finish up in the next 5. Possibly as well, so I'll be able to go and chillax. Bodie J, nice to have you here, Bodie. Merry Christmas, Rocky. I hope you're doing well. I am. It's been a while since I've seen you around, by the way, buddy. It's good to have you here. You know, I think the first time you posted a comment on one of my videos must have been about, I don't know, March period or something like that. So it's good to have you here, friend. Nice to see you again. Unless I'm confusing with another Bodie. I don't think I am. It's good to have you here. I think at around about that time, maybe, had I watched the Locke family, that show on Netflix, and there's a character in it, the kid called Bodhi, the best actor on the show, so made that name nice for me. Please, can you do a quick TA on Celsius Coin? I have to go, please, Rocky. Please have your stream up. I'll look at it later. Please do TA on Celsius Coin. Please, thank you. Please, thank you. Well, okay. As a Christmas gift to you, then I will, but, you know, yeah, it's Xmas. You may want to make a quick stream and only take suggestions from members. That's precisely right. By the way, if you want to, then of course you can become, I'm sure TradeSpot's probably saying the same thing right now. If you want to become a Patreon, then of course you can fire me a message and I'd be way more inclined to do this sort of thing, of course, obviously. A member of the YouTube channel, be more inclined, or if you want to stick a donation in there, then of course I could, you know. I don't think that a couple of quid is much, as asking for much in terms of showing me the value, if I'm going to show you some value back the way. But anyway, I'll take a look at Celsius if I can figure out what its ticker is. All right. I see TradeSpawn's kind of giving you all a nice bit of chat in there with regards to all of that, so that's cool. I'm just going to scroll on past that for now. Got to spread the Christmas cheer when you can, says Artie Pyle, and some nice laughter going on. Demo still on his first beer. Well, you're okay. You're 8 hours behind me at the minute. What time does that make it for you? Yeah, it's just midday. Yeah, you're all right. You're on your first beer. Yeah, it's all good. Next one. Thanks for hitting the like button, trades button, like I see there. If anybody else wants to hit !like, I'll give you a shout out for that. Prediction price XTZ 2021. 2021. What do you mean? By the way, for like late 2021? If you're talking about where we will be as we cross over crossover between Christmas and between 20 and 21 in terms of New Year's Eve pricing. Well, anywhere between $2 and $2.60. It would be nice, I suppose. $2.40, I suppose, off the top of my head, would probably be my first initial sort of feeling on that one. But you know, whatevs and all that. $10 says TradeSpot, and the voice winner says thanks. And then of course Artie Pyle says $10.01, Demo $9.99. All you's having a laugh there. That's nice stuff. Good, you're welcome, Rocky. I went through a lot of alts and made rough long-term predictions. I'm not just plucking figures out of my ass. Oh, that's cool that you're doing that. So anyway, of course, we'll see how things go. $10, I think, is a nice one for 2021 for XTZ. Looking at a sort of some, you know, depending on where you're drawing it from, 500% rise on the year. That would be nice. Really strong performer if that would be the case, of course. What to get? Got Zil, Vet, Linu, Christian. Nice to have you here, by the way, Linu. You're not doing too badly in terms of random shitcoins if you're choosing Zil and Vet, because of course they're less crap than others, with Zil having had very strong performance over the last while now, really, overall in general. Of course, everything takes a hit from time to time, but it's done really well. What else to get? Well, there's a few other ones. TradeSpot's kind of been looking at them. Maybe he'll give you a couple of ideas. Hey Kevin, you made it. Merry Christmas one and all. Thank you so much for joining us. Nice to have you. Saying that, notice everybody, by the way, that the Outcropticians are the friendliest bunch in the world. They come along and they not only do they say Merry Christmas to me, they say Merry Christmas to everybody else here. So yeah, you know, fantastic. What a wonderful community. I very much appreciate every single last one of you. Thanks. I go by Condor in real life too, says Condor. That's cool. That's nice to see. Good to have you here, buddy. Looks like a dead cat bounce to me. Merry Xmas, Rocky. Well, it could be. Wait a minute. What coin are you talking about, Wonder, though? SEC? Are you talking about XRP? Yeah, of course it does. I mean, it does. It looks like a dead... That's what a dead cat bounce would look like. So you're totally right in what you say, of course. But it's kind of retrospective, though, isn't it? It's when we take out our previous lows. So if we go past 25, then yeah, dead cat bounce. Absolutely. That's what that would be. So you know, you're not wrong. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it probably is a duck. Let's just see if it dips its bill below the water, though, first off, or you know, whatever, if it starts flying or whatever. I joined Rocky's Patreon. Well worth it. Demo, you are a star. I really do appreciate that. It's fantastic. Everybody, if you want to know, Rocky, patreon.com/Rocky Outcrop. Not hard to find. It helps support the channel. At some point along the line, there'll be a bit of income on that one, and then I can upgrade the camera and stuff like that. You know, running this channel as a business. So you know, and I'm putting value out there, and then I intend on taking the value that I put out there, which then gets sent back to me in terms of donations and tips and whatever, to just increase the quality of the experience that you're getting here for the benefit of everybody. I'm not wanting to do it for sort of selfish reasons. So if anybody wants to chip in on that front, more than appreciated by me and of course every other person in the community. So I think not only do I thank you, Demo, I think the rest of the community also thanks you for your donation there on that front. Really do appreciate it. Okay, cool. We're also seeing that, you know, a nice set of emojis from TradeSpot towards Demo there. Really appreciated. And yeah, what we get in here. So AB Lopez says pin the Patreon link in the comments. Yo, TradeSpot, pin the Patreon link in the comments. There's the link. So get that pinned if you can. Thanks so much, Avio Lopez. Have you know much about doing this sort of thing? Oh, I was supposed to make Kevin a Patreon as well, by the way. A Patreon? A moderator. I forgot to do that. Whatever. I'm sorry, buddy. It's distracted. Christmas, what have you. I'm also supposed to be getting in touch with Kevin Mehrabi, the guy that runs Stable Tech. You know, if you're interested in Tezos. If you're watching, Kevin, sorry about that. I'm really being tardy here these days, but it's Christmas again. Sell. Okay, so that's the ticker. Has had a good run over the last couple of weeks and did well during the dump yesterday. Good for you. Let's go take a look at Celery then. Celery Coin. I really hate celery myself. In terms of degrees and temperature wise, I'm much more into Celsius than I am into Fahrenheit. It just works for me. What would it be in the UK? This is a coin which lives on HitBTC. I've done technical analysis for this in the past. Obviously this is run on the way. Look at this, you know, so often when they come down towards the 236, you know, not breaking it, yada yada. We didn't break it. We tested it, we didn't break it, etc. That's good to see. We didn't, you know, confirm below it. So again, that was obviously speculative when I drew that in previously. Let's do the same thing again. You know, we can expect perhaps, you know, if we do see a drop down in here, that the sort of the shallowest retrace that you would look for is of course down towards $3.17. That would be knocking off 25% of the price on that one, so we don't want to see that happening, but we're already a big chunk of the way towards that in general. If you were looking at it being supported by the 8 period exponent. Oh wait, by the way, what's this? 48 minutes in, so I'll put this, I guess 48 minutes in, I'll put a link in there so that your man, who was it, XRP is Gold Steve, that was asking for it, can find it again when he returns. Okay, cool. So Celsius USDT here, we're above the 8 period. As you can see, when we cross below the 8 period, we've gone down the way, and they didn't actually cross over. In fact, let me just do this, and it's rare to do this, but there you go. Here's some a little bit of a different for sort of technical analysis for you. I've actually removed the price action from the screen just to give you an idea, so that I don't have to explain this while you're being distracted by the candles in the background. Movements down below the 8 period exponential moving average, we're looking to see, will it cross over the 18? If it does, then of course we might see a little bit of downward price action, but that's just those ones there. Overall, as you can see, the 36 period moving average here on the 4-hour time frame is still miles away. What's actually closer to us than the 36 period moving average, have I got these in the wrong order? In fact, let me just double check this. Oh, that's on 200. Yeah, so that's wrong. Whoopsie doopsie, put this on 36. So I spotted that as being wrong. Yeah, so you've got this kind of EMA ribbon thing, if you like, on the go. Let me just hide these other ones, the two simples, so you can see what the chat is, right? So what we're looking to see here is, of course, then maintaining their stance in terms of bullish fanned out position, and that's very much the case as they are right now. And they're very, they're quite spread apart. If we look down towards the moving average convergence divergence, then it's no surprise to see that this is coming in without divergence along the top. As we've gone towards these tops here, seeing that growth between the, the divergence between the moving averages, right? Which is what that is actually, this thing is doing essentially in many ways. So when it crosses over here, when we're looking to see, will we get a fully flipped formation before, and if we don't, then we can expect the key areas of support and resistance to kind of hold, okay? And that's been the way it has been along the way here. So now that I've explained that, let me just put the price action itself back on the chart. It's hard to do once you've hidden it, but bring it back on. There we go. And you can see that we do get retraces once we see the moving averages cross and all the rest of it, but we haven't actually had it sort of turn around so far with this overall bullish stance that we've had on this thing for a while. So what could we see happen on this coin in the next wee while, just taking those sorts of things into account? Well, if we came down towards the lower end here and tested off of the 36 period moving average, which is not unusual for it to do, as you can see during these wick periods where we've had volatility happening, coming down and testing these sort of smaller term moving averages here is not unusual for it to do, well, whatever. And so that could be that, and that would be one of these price targets. Now, if we did see that happen and these would cross, etc., etc., so I'd look out for that, but I'd be looking then towards $3.17 as our key for support area. If we break that, then what I'm looking to is $2.56, $2.09, and of course the 1618 coming in down there at 160 down towards 147 for that golden pocket. That would be, of course, horrific price action, offering up wonderfully beautiful opportunities for a short for us. But this is a little bit maybe kind of far away from the most recent price action. It might be seems a bit kind of outlandish for you. Instead, what you can do is take it in from the most significant previous low before, when you had this retracement. This is the last time that we actually saw the moving averages flip over. There's a number of reasons from what we've looked at already for why you might find that area significant. Taking it from its lows over here up towards these highs, then the 236 actually comes in at where the prices are right now. Not a major coincidence really when you consider about swings and what it is to be a swing trader, what it is to look at swings in markets. I mean, that's how that works. That's how that works, right? Okay, so looking here at the 8 period exponential moving average, it lines up perfectly with the 236. Of course, taking that out then does lead towards potential for downside price action. Going in here at the 1 hour time frame and taking a look at this so far, so we had this high and then a lower high, and then a low, and then a lower high, then a lower low, then a higher high. So is this really it? No, that's kind of unfair in this period, especially when you look at it as being a red candle throughout anyway. We've really just had this high and then this low and then this high and then this lower low so far, and that's on the basis of us being able to maintain this moving average. If we don't maintain these moving averages, then we're not taking out the key area that we need to with regards to a retracement back up past the 50% zone. As you can see here, that's where the 50% line is, just above our heads at 371, and that's what I'm looking to for this to kind of be confirmed as a local low, just in terms of just a real sort of textbook look at things there for us. So if we don't manage to maintain these, that's how that would flow for us. Bring up the moving averages down below. You can see there's no bullish divergence here on the RSI, and while we have got the positive stance here with regards to the DMI, bringing this up bigger screen so you can see, of course, this downward angle on it right at the key inflection point of 40, as we so often look to, having come up here and tested it around about the 50, which is really where you see major retraces happen at so often in the past, as such as over here and before, and various other areas where you get, either the ADX or the DM levels moving up towards those levels, or indeed both before turning around. So we do have that burning off of the positivity, but we can maybe maintain it if we can see things turn around, i.e. maintaining that 8-period moving average on these smaller term time frames. Now, why am I talking about it in such terms of like kind of negativity in and around these zones? Well, that's because, in all honesty, this has been a bull trend which is very, very strong. Overall, this is looking good and can maintain this prices above 359. Then we are looking towards higher price targets, which I'll take a look at in just a second for you. But then if not, then like I said, we could be looking down to the 618, for instance. The levels, if we break it in terms of this Fibonacci, of course I already discussed the one from the very broader term perspective, but from this one here, you're looking down at the 236 we're at just currently. 382 comes in at 325, the 50% at 298, so $3 on that one. The 618 golden pocket's going to be somewhere between 271 and 265, so let's call it 270 as a potential downward side price target. What do we see that lines up with? If I just hide it, lines up with nicely with the 54 period exponential moving average. Okay, exponential moving average there, all lining up with that one, giving you a nice degree of confidence if we were to see a turnaround. Now, that would be if, lots of ifs in there. Overall, in the 12-hour time frame, the upward side, we've done it without divergence. Here in the 24-hour time frame, we've done all of the movements towards the top side without divergence in the recent past during this sort of upward trend. Of course, there was a degree of divergence in the past already, which resulted in this drop down over here as well, and that was when we saw the previous shedding of 30% in price action. Now, if we were to see the same thing happen now, of course, 30% actually takes you down towards that target of the $2.70 area. So that's why you'd be looking there. But there are positive things to look to over here on the 4-hour time frame, the 4-hour time frame. Scrap that. Over here on the 1-hour time frame, sorry, is what I saw earlier on. This here jumped out at me on the chart. I could just see it with a sort of glancing down at it, that there's this class B, potentially class A hidden bullish divergence with this most recent of sort of kind of retrace areas for a low. If we go away towards the top side, then we've got a degree of momentum to do it with. In a sense, that kind of works along the sides of people looking at it and saying, this is due for a pullback. We could get that 30%. It doesn't happen. We don't break the 236. We maintain the moving averages. We go towards the top side. People feel confounded. They flip. They go back. They enter into longs instead of shorts, or indeed they close out their short, stop loss or whatever else, and providing liquidity towards the top side, and you burn past it. And that's kind of how that sort of works on a pragmatic level. So often, more often rather than not. Of course, so that kind of wraps things up for us almost. But what we're missing here in terms of the technical analysis is, of course, the upside targets. Now, another really great place to do this from, like I've already kind of intimated with regards to how I drew that on before with the looking for the top side, where I found it at in terms of the drop down. What time frame was I on when I did that, by the way? On the 24-hour time frame? Yeah. We can do the same thing here between these two levels in order to find a extension points towards the top side and see where we're coming in at. So what we've seen is we inflected in and around about a couple of key zones for us. As you can see on the way when we went towards the top side, where did this wick come in at? Well, it came in and it kissed lovely jubbly off of the 1618 in there at $3.07 before retracing down to 270, dropping 10% off its price here and revisiting the 8-period exponential moving average, giving you that well, the narrative that we're constructing here. This is a perfect example of how that would happen in terms of moving towards the top side and touching off of a key target before we need to find our feet in again. Nice, lovely. This is like exactly what you would want to see if you're looking for easy trading markets to operate in that have got a degree of predictability, if you like, about them. You know, far be it from me to use that word. I don't use it. Now, anyway, we've come up here, and if we did pull away from this point at 2618, that wouldn't be too much of a surprise. Area that we'd be looking to hope for support would be coming in here at the 272, and that's where we find the wick, obviously touching off of this one. I say obvious, but it wouldn't be obvious to the casual viewer, but there you go, that's where that is. And then if we go towards the top side thereafter, the next target to be looking in at is at $4.60. That's your top side target with the 3618. It's reasonable to think that we could get there. If we see a pullback at the minute, it's also reasonable to think that we could go to any of these targets that we've already identified towards the downside, such that I've already gone through in detail. Cool. What was that? This is the longest TA that I've done out of anything on the show today. That was very generous of me. But I do have a great deal of affection for all the audience, including XRP is Gold Steve, or XRP WTF Steve, as he's now known. So jumping back down towards the 15-minute time frame, that's going to do it, I'm afraid. No more freebies for today. Going to go away off and enjoy the rest of the Christmas evening with my wonderful family and all that. As you can see right here in the Bitcoin pricing, broken down past that 8-period moving average, broken, so to speak. It's happening at the minute though at the edge of this parallel channel. If we do drop down the way here, reasonable target to look to, easily peasily coming in here at 24,150, probably more like 24,200 in all honesty, where we find of course that 54-period exponential moving average. Along the way here we've seen various areas of support for us. Can I put an extension on the outside of this? No, I can't, but I can easily clone it and show you how this would line up. Now this is the same sort of ideology, yeah, whatever, the same sort of system that you would use if you were using pitchforks, for instance, and whatever else. Same sort of basic kind of underpinning of the idea. Of course, the angle and trajectory of the pitchfork is determined by Fibonacci points and various things like that, but this is essentially kind of the same sort of ideology that we're looking at. And we've moved up towards the top side here. That's where we touched that point. Kind of makes things seem a little bit obvious, doesn't it, when you've got it drawn on like this? That's the benefit of looking at this channel. I always try to make things look obvious. Then we have this area where the median line of it is, and we drop down towards that one, came up inflected there, blah blah blah. So this is perfectly, you know, the top side downside target. It's breaking down past that, looking down towards 24,200, managed to find support, then looking up here towards 24,626. That would actually currently represent, or actually 24,650. That would currently represent another higher high. If we manage to make it past that zone, then we look up towards 25k. If we manage to break it down past 24,200, then the area to look out for is going to be 24,000 itself. Okie dokie, so that's everything that we need to know. I could easily drop the mic at this stage, jump on over towards the chit chat and see how everybody's doing, and wrap things up more or less here and now. Isn't that a bit of fun? I hope everybody enjoyed it. Had a good day today. Nice 1 hour stream here with a lot of kind of home runs, I think, in the episode. Even if you're not looking at trading Celsius like myself, I mean, I've never traded on the old Celsius coin. I'd forgotten the ticker, for example, there before somebody reminded me in the chat. Damo, I think it was. Thanks for that. Oh no, it was Kevin King. Thanks for that. You know, there you go. Educational resources, right? Even I myself, when I'm doing this, it's what do you call it? Practice. It's deliberate practice, if you want to use that phrase. Deliberate practice, and that's what you need if you want to be doing sort of, when people talk about 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, then it's not 10,000 hours of just pissing into the wind. That makes no difference. You know, it's not 10,000 hours of repetition. That's also, practice is not repetition. Practice is deliberate practice. You need to fully engage your brain when you're doing it if you want to consider it to be real practice. So every time I do something like that, I guess it adds another couple of hours on, or minutes or whatever, onto that sort of thing for us. We're seeing chat in here from Demo talking about the sort of the stuff people otherwise might not know if they simply look at charts with regards to Zilliqa. Zilliqa founders have a new token called Marlin. Not looked at it much, but saw it making some moves. So interesting stuff there. Pardon me. Mary Schmegmus Troops says, Danny Morgan, good to have you here. Danny Morgan, it's good to have you here. Then we see Kevin saying that about Cell, of course, with his good run. So you're more than right there. We have had it, and that's our key levels discussed in extreme detail, I think, for everybody. Click more for the comment if you want pinned, great stuff like that. That's great as well. Kevin, tell me no worries. Good. Rocky, can you pin that comment? I'm moderating from my mobile. Oh, absolutely. I can pin that comment if you're moderating from your mobile. So let me see. Not on that screen, I can't. Whoop. On this one, report, put pin message. It's pinned. Whoop whoop. Nice one. That's quality. Thanks so much for putting that comment in there, so I could pin it. That's fantastic. Looking on the way down here, we see that you've got Horn Hunter coming along. Nice to have you here, Horn Hunter. I thought there was a trailer out for the Wheel of Time, but there wasn't. Have you looked at those wee snippets that they've put out with the most latest one is a guitar and a little bit from the script. Anyway, you might enjoy them if you haven't seen it. Check out like sort of Wheel of Time trailers. I mean, I know your whole life probably doesn't revolve around Wheel of Time, but I'm looking forward to the TV show as much as anybody, I reckon, probably myself. Yeah, nice one. Set myself up for disappointment or whatever. I don't know. Could be great. Could be. Anyway, yeah, 2.7 allows for better stop, but there's likely a bounce at 3.2. I wonder what that pertains to. Kind of probably forgotten already. What's your price prediction for BTC by close of daily candle, Rocky? Oh, well, can I put some conditions on it and just say that what I said there before would be it? If it's highly unlikely that we stay completely stable, but if we do move away from these zones and come back the way, the regression at the minute is going to be along this median line here. So I would say anywhere between what time is it? We've got 3 hours left, or just under. This is the 15-minute time frame. Yeah, so anywhere along this sort of area, I suppose, really sort of 24,400 or whatever. But actually, if we do break down the way, then I'm going to say anywhere along this level, at 24,200. If we go down below that, that's what kind of, I hope that kind of ties in with what we're looking at. This is how if you allow me to put some conditions on it. Do I need to put, come on, let's do it then, I suppose. Hold a gun to my head. Diminishing volume, not looking fantastic. This here, it's okay, but we got rejected off that in the first pass. Whatever else, yeah, so this is slightly lower than over here, didn't go higher than it. What do we have here? No real strength of trend. What are we doing here in this one? This could turn around. We've had this coming in as a higher, lower high. Not got much momentum coming up here. We got rejected. We're still above the moving average. I mean, it's hard for me to really go as far as to make a prediction, like that. But you put a gun to my head, didn't you? So, what am I going to predict? You see, with this movement, the way that this is coming with this candle at the minute, is if this was just green and whatever else, if I'd done this video, this is when we started the video. If you'd asked me this an hour before we started the video, then I might have said, oh, I don't know, maybe we could be looking up towards 24,600. That would be, that would be the next area, and then a pullback from there would put us in with a higher high and everything else. But we've already come back down to this point here, and it only needs to go down an additional. It only needs to go down an additional. It only needs to go down to this line here to hit that 50%, and oh, look, we're doing it already. See, this doesn't look great as we speak live. It doesn't look good. This doesn't look good, but we could find support in here right now on that 8-period exponential. My prediction for the end of the day, most likely it's going to be either 24,400 or 24,200, I suppose, between them. But the way this looks at the minute, I'm tempted to say that the end of the day prediction is going to be 24,000 flat, and that's what my own sort of spidey senses are tingling at. But and that's kind of just how it is. But if we see, yeah, whatever, skip it. That's going to be, I think we're probably kind of satisfied whatever it you had there. Could maybe quick some horizontal lines and sell for pullbacks, blah, blah, blah. I covered it already. That's all good. Scrolling on down the way, catching up with people, what they're chatting. Impressed by sales chart history, says TracePoint. That's cool. What there is of one. True. I was playing around with a pitchfork on the BTC 1 week chart. Quite interesting, taking the December 17 to 2016, December 27 to 2017 as the pitchfork top and bottom. I'm not going to do that in today's show, but that's quite interesting. Then I can kind of review your comment there and add it on. I think I've had broad term pitchforks on the charts a few times in the past, I think. Maybe not broad enough compared to that. Might be interesting. Let me see though. You're talking the high at 2017. Taking the 2017. December 17, 2016 to December 2017, 2017 as the pitchfork top and bottom. Interesting. I'll try and figure that one out. It's going to be hard. Where's the December? Oh, you gave me the date though, so that's good. December 17. So that's cool. I've got that. Nice one. Talk to me like I'm 5. What is a pitchfork on the charts? Pitchfork on the charts is this thing, Artie. It's pitchfork. You've got 3 of them. That one of them was invented by some guy starting off here. He invented this one, and it was called the original pitchfork. Right, cool. So there's a guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head last time. I actually have got an episode on this, although I don't know if I put it in the education playlist because I kind of forgot at the time, or maybe I didn't have one at the time or whatever. But Tony Wright, one of the Outcropticians, asked me to explain it one time, so I explained it in kind of, you know, extraordinary detail. So I could do that. I could find that, maybe send you a link to it at some point. Anyway, this is the original pitchfork. And that's what it looks like. In terms of its construction, you've got this line running up the middle of it, and this is what's called, the next line up is called the upper line. The next line up above that's called the upper warning line. These 2 grey areas that are at the top and the bottom, they're extensions that I added on. In cryptocurrency land, we often find that it goes beyond the extensions, beyond the middle, you know, beyond these ranges. We've got that extra volatility here, and we can push beyond either of those, so there are extensions on there. This is called the lower line, this is called the lower warning line, and then this is of course an extension towards the downside. You can also the guy that did that had a student, and the student was called Schiff, and he said pitchforks seem to work more like this more often than not. And then, oh, by the way, Damo, I'd kind of need 3 points for your pitchfork, if you don't mind giving me the 3 points. But I could probably figure out what you're talking about anyway when you're talking about them, because you need 1, 2, 3, obviously. Then he said this is the way that they often work as well, and it came up with this inside, or this shift pitchfork idea. They called it shift, and it does seem to be quite good as well. Somebody else later modified it. That's kind of bullshit. You'll probably never find yourself using it. And then as well, there's the inside pitchfork, and that's quite good for turnarounds. And of course, this looks negative, but if you know if you're looking at it the other way, then you'd be talking about it like going towards the top side. So so there's your most basic introduction to pitchfork. And the way that you do it, generally speaking, is to like find sort of range type like areas to, like, for instance, we could do one just here, taking it from this inflection point just here up towards this high here, and then dropping down to there, and encapsulate the price action that came thereafter as an example for you. So this was like an inflection down there, we went up towards our high up there, came down to this low over here, and as you can see, then ever since the price actions kind of operated in amongst that area. Had we gone in the original pitchfork, then it would look like that, you know, much steeper. And of course, we've come down the way and been supported by the if I just hide these 2 parallel channels, hide, and hopefully that's that one, hide, yeah. Then you can see that, of course, in terms of the support and resistance lines here, we moved up the way, found resistance at the lower warning line, but then pushed past that, came up towards the median line of it, then found support at the lower warning line, but then actually broke that, found support at the lower line, then we found support at the lower warning line thereafter, found resistance at the lower line, tried to move towards the top side, but our horizontal resistance actually captured us at that point, pushed us on down the way. We came down here, and then when we got down towards the lower warning line again, we had this extreme volatility which came in at our extension, like I say so often happens in cryptocurrency. They moved around here, finding resistance between these 2 points, came up towards the top side, in at around about the lower line, and between the lower warning line and the lower line, we found resistance again. It went down the way and busted in the way, but actually didn't manage to break the lower warning line overall. So far, we're in about that blah 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 blah. You get the impression, you get the idea, you see how it works. There's a really quick and ready lesson for you in terms of what they are. They're quite useful in terms of giving you context on your price action, and there's various examples that I've used in the past across long periods of time on that front of them. I'm not 100% sure which charts I've got them on. Like for instance, here on the Ethereum chart, I had one for a really long time I was using, but I'm not sure which Ethereum chart I had it on. Was it this one? Yeah, here we go. So you can see, like, here's another pitchfork, jump up towards like the daily time frame on this one, so you can see how this has been going. You see this, you see how much it works, you know, like, or whatever. And then of course, where do we find the price action for Ethereum having come in at and then been resisted at? over here, right up there at that extension to it, dropping back down. And you can see this is this here, given that I didn't even know which chart it was on, and when I drew it on back over here, so somewhere between somewhere, I don't know when I drew this on, but you can see that it starts over there in December 19, goes to a high over there in February 20, down towards the lows in March. So the significant areas in price action down there on the way up the way. So there you go. And there's other things that you need to know about. I suppose, like if you look between the way it's constructed, suppose might as well just wrap this up, because this will be the last few things that I'm saying before I actually say cheerio. If you take a Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high here, find the 50% point between the two areas. No, is that way around? Sorry, just a second. Yeah, that's it, sorry. So what you do is you find your first area, so just hide all these drawings. You find your low that you're going to be using it from, so I used that low there in December 19. Then you find your high up there at the 15th December and the low down here in 12th of March. And the guy that originally invented the pitchfork says that quite often what you find is that if you were to draw a line starting between your low here and where the 50% retracement area would be on this downward slope, as we have here, I'll just pop it back on again, as we have here with this Fibonacci. So you find your 50% area there and you draw it in from your low. So what you do is you're going to get a line here and you draw up to where the 50% area is and then extend that line on the way. Then you get a line which can give you a good series of points. Then you can, etc, etc, etc. Right? I think you probably get the idea now. Okay, that's comprehensive. Is as comprehensive as anybody really needs. Right? Okay. Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't talk to you like you were 5 though. Whoops. Artie, was that okay, or should I talk to you like you're 5 after all? Sorry. Take the image I posted in Discord, Rocky. Sweet, cool. That'll be the last couple of things that we do towards the end of it. That'll be the last thing we do then. I'll say cheerio. I'll say cheerio. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. It's sweet to look in there in the comments and see that nobody said throughout that whole show that I had not done enough quality, or whatever you want to call it, detail on any of the analysis. So that's cool. What's all that? Oh, whatever, I'll have to read that some other time. Rocky. Hi. BTCF. Is it going to be this one? I think it probably is that one that you put it in. BDC for the win. No, maybe Neverland Text, was it? Okay, cool. Oh, here's a pitchfork. Oh, right. Oh, that's just for me. That's interesting stuff. I'll check that out in a bit. Oh, well, actually, no. Everybody can see what Damo was talking about there. There's a chart that's been shared in our Discord by one of our fantastic, lovely Rocky Outcropticians there for everybody to take a gander at. If you want to join the Discord, it's free currently anyway, and we're in there and we're really cool. Nice to see you, Kenny Flatten. Good to have you back here, by the way. Nice to see you, We Will Run, as well, which is good to see you back here as well. And anybody else who's missed during the show in terms of shout outs, I apologize for that, but I think I've got everybody. Is it risky to wait for a breakout trade? Generally speaking, you're diminishing your risk by waiting for breakouts, because how would you know it's a breakout if you're going to say wait for? Well, what are you waiting for? Pardon me. What you're waiting for is confirmation, which obviously diminishes your risk. So no, it's not risky. What's risky is to trade within a range such as a triangle, and you're just oscillating within the triangle, and at any given time to say, well, in this symmetrical triangle, I think we're going to go towards the top side, and I'm going to take a trade from down here at the lower end of the triangle, and I'm not going to take profit at the top. Instead, I'm going to try and trade beyond that zone. That's much more risky, and of course that's the opposite. So there you go. They're generally used as part of a trading strategy for breakout traders, along with other tools. That type of trading mostly ignores log. No worries at all. Did I just draw everything I did on log? I think I probably had. Did I just let me just check the charts here. Have I got log on today? No, for everybody, and you can see it on your screen, by the way. I don't hide. I don't cut it out there. You can see if I use this button here that that's the log button. So I've been doing everything in linear today, just for everybody to know. No worries at all. I picked up everything that you spelled out. That's what matters to me. Quality, good stuff. Nice one. Pinned comment looks fab. Nice one. Artie Pile. If crypto is your first investment type and have never invested before, good on you for finding people to help in understanding instead of trying to figure out yourself. You will save a lot of heartache and money. That is it. That whilst you might take that sort of comment for granted. Take it from me, take it from Kevin, take it from a million other people, that what so often happens with new traders is they just dive right in. You know, they as Mark Douglas put it best, you know, I think it was him, he was talking about how the majority of people who get into trading have had success at some other point in life, be it entrepreneurship, academics, whatever, and then they think that they can carry that success forward. And quite often as well, you find that you rely on yourself when it comes to that type of success, and you go into a market and then you immediately undermine your ability and confidence to actually rely on yourself, despite the fact that you're exclusively relying on yourself, and then everything kind of goes to pot. Instead, coming in here and finding this community and everything else, you've done a really good idea. And if as well, since, you know, going into crypto, where I think it's so sovereign, you know, and everything, that you're not just going into forex, which everybody's already kind of well trodden road. You're going into this sovereign idea of self-determination with crypto and trading that, and looking in the community and getting help. That's really absolutely fantastic stuff. So good stuff. Breakout trading is one of the most risky strategies generally. Doing it properly requires you to flip your trade when failure knocks, and most people don't like to change their position or targets. Of course, you get entrenched and everything else. That's it, you know, that's exactly it. Well, I'm going to give the chat like from this point here 1 minute more. I'm at 1 hour and 18 minutes. See how it's going, see if there's anything that really needs to be addressed. If not, I'm tuning out in the next minute, and I hope that is good for everybody. You know, we really did do quite a bit today. I've been talking non-stop since we started the episode, and the vast majority of it has been helpful, I think, hopefully. And of course, alongside that ever-present community warmth that we have here. And you know what I mean, a lot of people were asking me, are you going to do an episode on Christmas Day? You know, with the general expectation that I would say no, because it's Christmas Day and I've got to have some time, you know, to you know, and I would respond and say, you know, back in say summertime, I would respond and say, well, I'm committed, I'm making a commitment. I want everybody to know that I'm really committing to their success, that I want to put out this value information so that they can become consistently profitable, and I'm committing, I'm showing them that I really do genuinely believe in them. I'm not just sort of willy-nilly take it or leave it, and I want to demonstrate that commitment. And what better way to do it than to do a video on my birthday and on Christmas Day, knowing in advance that both of those were during weekdays this year. Here I am doing that, but it's actually, you know, at this point here, there's another rather big reason. It's because you're part of my extended family now, and what would Christmas be without you know, without you? You know, at this point here, it would be you're part of my Christmas now. Okay, so this is so, and I hope, and I'm glad, actually really honored that you've invited me into your environment on your Christmas Day too. So thanks for all that. Nice one. So anyway, Kenny Flan, I do think though that as long as the person doesn't become homeless, diving in and losing money as a result of that is one of the best ways to learn crypto and the fastest in the lot. Yes, Kenny, 100%. The lessons that you learn in trading, in any, more than perhaps any other walk in life, you pay for, you know. And that while I deliver content which I think will save you quite a lot of them, or give you a discount on that, there's still a degree of kind of, you know, I think it's commonly accepted amongst traders that everybody kind of has a rite of passage to go through, where you blow up your accounts, you lose all your money, you climb into a cupboard, you cry yourself dry for 6 or 7 hours and hate yourself for a month and everything. Like there's these, sorry, just kidding. There's this sort of rite of passage that we go through, like everybody, you know, to an extent, and that in that you will find some of the best lessons about you and how you interact with the charts, of course, as opposed to what you've read in a book or what somebody else told you, because we're all individuals, and you need to do that. So great. That's it. We've made it here. Nobody said anything that really needs addressed, so I'll just read the last couple of comments because you know, they're just so gosh darn good. For instance, you're the best, Rocky. Thanks once again. Amazing. Thanks so much. Kenny Flatton elaborated a little bit there and said, making mistakes to ensure you don't make them again, might as well make them at the beginning so you don't have to have manufactured confidence in the future. Another great point. Just just do it right, okay? Just don't become defeated. You can be your own worst enemy as well. And I say that you need to rely on yourself. That's the key. And I put this out all the time. Don't rely on some random YouTuber. Don't rely on it. What you need to rely on, need to learn to rely on, and what my goal is here, and it has been from the very, very, very start of this channel, is to help you become self-reliant independent traders. And it's one of the reasons why the channel hasn't exploded in terms of subscribers, is because, you know, a lot of people watch the channel, get better at trading, and then don't need to watch it as much. And I understand that, but I'm still a spirit guide in that sense. I want you to become independent and reliant, and that's the key thing. But you have to remember as well that your own biggest critic, self-critic, and enemy as well can be yourself, and that really you're competing against yourself. I mean, if you hear somebody else made a load of money in trading, forget it. You know, if you heard that somebody else lost something at some point, you know, it's not necessarily going to educate you. The educational lessons that you're going to get outside of this channel and other places where you find sort of similar emphasis is going to come down, is going to come from within yourself, and so you have to manage that appropriately. You know, don't punish yourself too much when the market's already punished your bad decision. Instead, learn from it and think of that as a sort of, you know, your degree, if you like. I mean, university is very, very expensive as an example, and you know, you'll learn a lot quicker. Jordi Benitez, Merry Christmas. You know, thanks so much. Merry Christmas to you too, Jordi, and all that. I have a question. What are those indicators, and why are they on TradingView? And are they on the TradingView free version? Absolutely, Simel. If you want to jump into the Discord, I'll give you a copy of the code of them. No problem at all. I would paste it into the comment thing even right now so you could read it, but I don't think I would be able to. The length of the comment and everything else just wouldn't work. But I'll give you a copy of them in the Discord, no problem. If you do not, you know, if you're for some reason sort of anti-Discord, you can email me and I'll respond to you, okay? I mean, I'm still at that stage in my YouTube career and everything else that I don't get completely inundated with emails, and I can respond to the occasional one. By the way, I had another offer from a cryptocurrency gambling platform to support the channel, to sponsor me. Let me know what you think of all that idea. Obviously, I've brought these to the community several times in the past, and I've turned them all down. These ones I told them $100 a video, so $500 a week if they want to sponsor me to do it. Maybe would accept that. I don't know. Maybe not. Although I did already turn down $100 a video from somebody else, so I've told them that's like the bare minimum, and obviously be, you know, that sort of thing. Not 100% sure if I want to do it or not. Let me know what you think, because of course I am 100% transparent on this show. And all that, so I wouldn't do something without bringing it to the community first. But what do you think? Do you think I should take that, if that's something going for me there? Anyway, cool, nice one. Yeah, that's it. Merry XBTmas, everybody. Happy crypto to one and all. I hope you have a fantastic day for the day, no matter where you are in the world, and indeed that includes everybody who's in the future, such as Lee and the other Australasians that watch the show as well. I hope you had a fantastic day yesterday and you're enjoying your Boxing Day thoroughly, and the weather outside is frightful, but the Bitcoin prices are so delightful. Let the intros roll. You could do episode sponsorship on Patreon, PBS Spacetime, do it at the end of every episode. You could do episode sponsorship on Patreon, PBS Spacetime, do it at the end. I'm not 100% sure what that means. I mean, I've seen PBS Spacetime. The guys, they're so smart, are they not? They're so and interesting, the stuff they present, and really well executed videos as well. Like really nice stuff, by the way. I'll explore those ideas and more. Really do appreciate that. So could do episode sponsorship on Patreon. I just don't understand how that works because I mean, I only joined Patreon yesterday, right? Anybody who wants to get in on that, I really do appreciate it. All the rest of it, go for it. Just watermark the vid. Right, cool, yeah, exactly. Thanks very much for that, Christopher. Nice to have a vote confidence from folk. And I will see you all next time. So let them roll. Ciao, everybody. Catch you next time.